All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for today, Tuesday, July 13th, 2021. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, and also host of the Side Hustle Lounge, where we talk about legit business opportunities, the mindset to make them a success, and the lifestyle design and adventure we can do, one of those reasons why we work so hard. I'm here with my incredible co-host, of course, Carol Ray, founder of Notary to Pro. Carol, how's it going today?
It's going great. I was just talking about it before we were on camera about our weather here. It's absolutely crazy. It was beautiful this morning, dry, and then all of a sudden we heard this crack of lightning and thunder, and it went on for about an hour and a half, shaking the whole house and the ground underneath it, torrential rain. And now the sun's out, everything's almost dried up, and you would never know what happened. But yeah, great.
I love it. I love the crazy weather. And of course, Laura Biewer is our other co-host today. She's not quite on. I just talked to her. She was on the road, so I'm sure she'll be popping in here in just a moment. Guys, TNT is all about you and getting your questions answered and bringing you important information that's going on in the notary community. The way this works, TNT is like an old-fashioned radio talk show where you call-in radio show where you call in, get your questions answered. The best way to make this work, let me get that muted there. The best way to get this work, to make this work, is to use the raise hand feature in Zoom. When we call on you, please tell us what state you're calling from. That's really important. And then ask your question very directly. If we need additional information, we'll ask some questions for you. Now, we have today two special guests that are going to come kind of back to back to deliver some information that is important to California specifically, but we also have that's also going to be workable across all other states too. So Matt Miller, are you here? Oh, actually, before we do that, let me introduce, Laura, are you Minnie Mouse today? I think you're Minnie Mouse today. We can't hear you. You might have to pop out and pop back in. I love it when your voice does this, though. I kind of want you to stay. All right, we'll come back to you. Matt Miller, are you on today? And if so, can you unmute? Matt Miller? Let me see if he's on here really quick. I do not see him on yet. I'm going to shoot him a text. Laura, you're still Minnie Mouse in it here. Oh, there he is. Matt Miller, thank you so much for joining us. I was just introducing you first because you've got a great announcement about something new that's coming along. Are you ready right now? Maybe. Matt Miller.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm a little bit late today.
No worries. Welcome to the stage today. I was just kind of prepping everybody for your announcement.
Great. Thank you so much, Bill, for the time. This is a bit of a big one. We have received from the California Secretary of State new journaling guidelines for California notaries. It has been debated and hotly contested in California for years. And so we decided to ask, and we have gotten in writing, that if California notaries follow very specific guidelines, then it is okay to list multiple documents in a single journal line entry for the same signer. Now, while this is probably welcome news for a lot of California notaries, there are very specific things that you must do. For example, you must break down the fees for each notarization in that line entry. You can't just put a total amount. You need to remain clean and neat. So don't squeeze as much information into one single journal line entry to where it becomes illegible. You still must also follow all the guidelines set out by California Government Code 8206, which tells you what kind of statement you must make as far as the identity and proofing vetting process you use for that signer, whether it's a government document, credible witness, that sort of thing. And it's recommended that you use a journal that allows for multiple documents in a single line entry. There are 2 in the market that I know of that I have listed in the article that went out this morning. Now, while the California Secretary of State has said that single line journaling is okay, they do prefer best practice and preferred methods, which would be to continue to make a single journal line entry for every signature on each document. But if you decide to practice single line journaling, there are specific do's and don'ts that you need to follow, and you should read our guidance on calnotaries.org. We, the California League of Independent Notaries, and our friends in Southern California also support preferred methods and best practices. So this is a personal choice for individual notaries. And before anybody asks, for at least initially, I personally am probably going to continue with the preferred method just because of the nature of the documents I deal with. However, I could see where this could be very beneficial for someone who is a strict signing agent. If you have further questions, please feel free to reach out, but everyone should go to calnotaries.org who's interested and read the updated guidance and go from there. So thank you for the spot. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to today's show.
All right, Matt, thank you so much for that. And I went to Clin just now and I don't immediately see it. I went to your latest news, to the blog. Can you help direct us maybe with a link or specifically where to go? Oh, there we go. Tabitha got it. All right.
It's also in red letters across the top of the screen. If you just click that link, it'll take you straight to the guidance alert.
I love that. Big, bright.
Say something, Bill?
Miss. Yeah, of course, Carol.
Matt, I want to thank you so much for what you have done. You're a face that you're changing things big time. And I just want to tell you, as a former notary and as a trainer, how much we appreciate all of the things that you've been doing for a long time now. You are amazing.
Well, thank you, Carol, for those very kind words. I'm humbled, and I really appreciate your words. And it's a passion of mine. I love this profession so much that I feel that, I need to do everything I can to improve it and fight for it and protect it for not only today's notaries, but generations to come. So thanks again for your support. I really appreciate it, Carol.
Well, you're definitely a part of TNT because the 3 of us are definitely passionate. If nothing else, we're passionate about this industry.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why we connect so well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love about this, Matt, is to me, you're demonstrating one of my favorite quotes is never underestimate a person who's crazy enough to think they can change the world. Those are the only people who do. And you're actually out there saying, this doesn't make sense, or I want clarity on this, or we need to change this, and then taking action to do that. What an awesome demonstration of the possibilities of that. So thank you for that. And what's cool is, Matt, I think one of the journals that you were suggesting in the article might be the Integrity Journal. Is that correct?
That's correct. The Integrity Journal, as is, according to the new guidance, will be compliant in California. I think Clyde is here today. I'm hoping he can say a couple of words about that.
That's perfect segue. I'd love to bring up the creator of the Integrity Journal, already incredibly popular in just about every other state except for California. But now, Clyde, this sounds like it's really good news for you and other notaries as well. Clyde, are you here with us?
Hi there, I am here and I am excited and ecstatic. Thank you very much for Matt for helping sort of pave the way in California and allowing for some alternatives to the traditional journaling approach. So I appreciate that greatly. Yes, so I am the creator of the Integrity Notary Journal. And as Bill and Matt were suggesting, this journal would then become compliant in the state of California under the new guidance that was given. The one thing that you will need to do in order to be 100% compliant using the Integrity Journal is that, and if I can show this on camera, I will try to do so. There is a list of documents that you check and identify the notarization type. And what you'll see in that inline is that by each document name, there is a little blank. That is a generic blank that was put in place for example, if your state allowed for signature witnessing or some other notarial act that wasn't the normal acknowledgement or jurat that you were performing with that document, there was a space for you to note that. How you in California can use this is that is the place for you to identify the notarial fee that you're charging for the notarization on that document. By putting your notarization fee on that line next to the document, you're then becoming 100% compliant for the state of California. The rest of the journaling, all the information and spaces of the information that you would collect is all there. One last thing that I want to note is that, and I'm going to take this as the greatest form of flattery, there are a significant number of copycats that have come on to Amazon in the past couple of months. We continue to work with Amazon on copyrights to get them taken down. However, they're creating new ways to do so. So when you search for Integrity Journal, you may see a multiple of them coming up, but keep in mind, it is the one that looks like this with the full name and single signing view as the subtitle. But most importantly, you'll see that we have hundreds of reviews that will distinguish us from all of the lookalike copycats that are out there since they don't have our reviews. Anyway, I thank you very much for the time. And if people have questions, they can certainly contact me at the website, just searching on Google for Integrity Notary Journal, and you'll find me in my website.
So those copycats have no integrity.
Isn't that interesting? I love that.
It's ironic. Yes, you can't sell the Integrity Journal if you don't have integrity.
Right.
And Bill, you want to let everybody know what we're going to do, Notary to Pro is going to do at the end of this?
Remind me.
We're going to give away 10 journals.
Oh, yeah.
Integrity journals. Because Clyde is one of my graduates and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, that is so great. And we got to figure out how exactly we're going to do that. So thank you for the reminder on that, Carol. I will jump on that and work on that in the sidelines. And why don't let's see if Laura's available. I'd love to introduce Laura formally without her Minnie Mouse voice.
Am I,
Hello?
do I sound regular now?
Yeah, I've been waiting on Teams for you guys. What's going on with that?
Oh, hold on. Let's get demuted here. There we go.
All right, do I sound normal?
You do sound like Laura.
Okay.
Welcome, Laura Biewer.
Hi. So glad I could be with everybody today. I'm Laura, Coach Me Laura, as well as the founder of Symposium, which is coming up November 6th, an annual event for notaries by notaries. And we're excited. We're going to be making an announcement on that pretty quickly about ticket sales. But I wanted to, Bill, did you get the email you were waiting on? So
I did. So we are good to go. Yes, we can formally announce it.
So now the next state-specific training that Bill and I will be putting out there is for Florida, and it will be, I don't have my calendar in front of me.
July 24th, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
10 a.m. Eastern time, which is 7 a.m. my time on a Saturday. So I'm going to be up early and ready to go. So the link is in the chat, which I think is it coachmelora.com/FL for Florida.
Right? And you want to use coupon code PEEPS, PEEPS, to save $70 on that training. And I'll put that all in the chat for you as well. And we'll send out an email with the replay as well.
So we're putting it out here to you guys first, because you're our special peeps, because Texas sold out in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So I don't want TNT, who's Florida, to be left out. We are going to be publicizing this, of course, on social media and get other people. But I would love to have my TNT peeps first. So that's my big announcement for today.
I love it. And I'm typing this into the chat right now. There we go. Got it. Laura, glad you made it. Okay, guys, I think we should jump into some questions now. Thank you so much for being here. Randy Ventures, you're the first hand I see. Welcome. And I know you're in Washington now. It's starting to stick. How can we help today?
I'm in Washington. You guys may hear my GPS talking to me as I'm driving. A bunch of questions, but let me start with the first one. So I emailed my Secretary of State asking them about some specific questions for notarial wording. Like, is it okay to have the venue at the top of the document instead of at the notarial block? Because the way the law is written, it has to be in the notarial block, and it doesn't matter where the date is at. And the email I got back from them was reference to the statutes without giving me an answer. So my question for you guys would be do I need to call them and ask them, or is there a better source to go to when they kind of just tell me to look at the statutes or the law?
Yeah, great question, Laura. I know we run into this all the time when Secretary of State just refers us to the statutes for our own interpretation. What advice do you have for Randy?
Yeah, you know what, when they, and this is a common issue with the Secretary of State, where they don't want to have to tell you, they'll just refer you back to a statute. And so I would tell you that if the statute does not specify placement, so for instance, in California, that notice block, there is a specific mention that it has to be at the beginning, and I can't have anything but certificate that follows it. So if there's nothing like that in the statute to direct you, one. Number two, my next source would be, does your Secretary of State put out any kind of newsletter type information or post directives? And directives are different than the law. That would be what they say is how you're supposed to meet the statute. And those are things like the guidance we got today on the journaling. That isn't any law changes. Nothing's changed in the state of California in terms of the law. What's changed is their positioning and their guidance on how we would execute that. And so if you don't have in either one of those places anything, then what I would say is it's required to have everything they ask for. And if they don't specify if it can be broken up, because there are states where they'll have the venue at the top of the document and then down after the signature is the rest of it, and it's perfectly fine. So unless you have something counter to that in writing, I don't see an issue with that. I do know that you have to be careful with that particular component, because there may be one at the top and then one with your certificate. The one with your certificate is for you. The one at the top then would be for the document, especially for real estate. And I've seen the date at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. As long as it's in that statement, certification statement, then it should be fine. So does that answer you, Randy?
Yes, thank you. And then my second question is related to the phone call that we had last week. And I don't know if that's a good topic for TNT or not.
Say that again.
My second question is related to the phone call that you and I had last week.
Well, yeah, I think it is, just only put out, the bones of what happened, and then what, how you handled it and what happened as a result, if you know.
Okay. So June 29th, I was supposed to do a signing, and at the last minute, the signing service called me and said, call the signer and tell him to cancel, the documents aren't ready. And then a few days later, they sent an email at 6:30 at night and said, can you do the signing tonight? The documents are ready and it needs to be done tonight. And by the time I got a hold of the signer and got everything done, it was 9:30 by the time we met. And when I met the signer, she was kind of all over the place, kind of sporadic and trying to do 3 things at once. She was trying to clean up her kitchen while she was trying to sign the documents. I couldn't really get her to settle down. And in the whole process, I missed the whole her signing the deed of trust and me acknowledging that she signed the deed of trust, doing the notarial block, and then also missing a stamp on another form. And then a week later, after the 4th of July, the signing service called me and said, hey, we need 2 acknowledgements. You missed 2 stamps. And I said, okay, well, I need to review the documents to make sure everything is correct. And they said, okay, we'll send them to you. And they emailed them to me. And in between, I went to an appointment that I had because I was walking in the door to the appointment. When I got out, they called me back and said, we need those acknowledgements right now. And I opened up the email and I looked at the attachment and I realized that her signature didn't look right to me. And all of the information in my notarial block was not in my handwriting. So I told them that that wasn't my handwriting. And I needed to look at the original documents that I scanned and uploaded to their portal, and hung up the phone. And then the owner called me about a little bit later and said they needed that right then. And I reached out to a couple other people, and then I reached out directly to Laura for some advice on how to handle the situation. And the signing service was adamant, not the owner of the signing service, but his manager that was handling it was adamant that all I needed to do was send them 2 acknowledgements because they had to have those right then. And the loan office, the lender was really upset, and they had to have those right now because it had to be filed today. And that if I didn't do that, they were gonna blackball me and write negative reviews on the platform, and I could possibly cost them business, and I could be held liable for documents not being filed on time because they might have to redraw everything. And he was trying everything he could do to get me to send them an acknowledgement, which I refused to do because someone else filled it out. So I kind of want Bill, and I got Laura's advice. I kind of want Bill and Carol's advice on what to do next. Beyond that, reaching out to, I went back to the signer and had her sign a new deed of trust that night and uploaded that. And she is actually really good friends with her loan officer. And the loan officer called me right away at 8 o'clock at night, and we talked about it, and she was trying to figure out what happened. And then the next day, the title officer called me and was trying to figure out what happened. And that was Friday, and I still haven't figured out exactly what happened or who signed her name and who filled out my notarial block and signed my name to it. But I'm trying to figure out what the next steps I need to follow are.
Yeah. Wow. What a bizarre situation.
It's real.
Yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go for it,
Chime in?
Carol.
Okay, as I understand it, I did have a distraction, but you received these documents, obviously. She didn't sign them. They were forged. They put your information in, signed your name, right?
Yes.
And what you did is you actually went back to her, got an original deed of trust and had her execute that, and you filled in the notary acknowledgement.
Yeah, so my notary acknowledgement for the deed of trust that she did sign was for 6 days after the original date.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I think that was the best resolution, but I don't know about what you intend to do with this signing service, but I would certainly look into this, take some action on somebody that's holding you hostage, really, and threatening you and threatening your career because they're doing something that's breaking the law and dishonest. I would look into how to somehow to report this to someone, maybe your attorney general or something. I would document all of this and do whatever you have to do to stop this, because there's going to be notaries out there that aren't going to know any better. And they're not going to have the integrity that you have.
Yeah.
I've been threatened. I was threatened. You know, I did signings myself before Notary Pro for 14 years. And I dealt with companies that did exactly the same thing, threatened me, in a lot of vicious ways. If I didn't backdate documents, if I didn't accept the signatures that I wouldn't do, things like that. And I'm sure Bill and Laura and a lot of you have probably had some experience. If you've done this for any length of time, I'm sure it's happened to you, but sorry this happened to you, Randy.
Yep, definitely. Thank you for sharing it with us, though. This is what we're faced with every day, and that's why our role exists. We are here to protect the integrity of a transaction. So it's so important that we understand what we can do and what we can't do, so we don't get pressured into these types of situations. And the reality is, like, I know what goes through our minds is we think, oh, I don't want to lose a customer. But if you're going to lose a customer that is doing illegal things, get away from them as soon as you can. You don't want to be a part of that. That is going to bite you in the rear end. And guess who? They don't protect you. They're going to throw you right under the bus too. There's nobody, no lender's going to come in and go, oh yeah, I told him it was okay. And this, plus the state and the law doesn't care if the lender tells you it's okay. You've got to know what you can do and you can't do. So I love that you stood your ground on this. I have a feeling though, because there's a relationship here, and it sounds like I have never been called by a lender or a title company to figure out fraud. I've pointed it out, like I'm not moving forward on this, but I haven't had the follow-up. It sounds like heads are probably gonna roll on this one just because there's a little bit of a relationship there. So I might just kind of sit back for a little bit and see what happens, see if they self-regulate, see if something comes of it, and then if not, maybe follow up. And then you can do your attorney general stuff too, if you wanted to pursue it that far. I don't know if the AG is going to go into a potential fraud case like this. I mean, there's clearly something happening there, but it was stopped. So I don't know if they're going to, how serious they'll take that, but who knows?
Right. And then the other question is because I'm in Washington and then the documents got shipped to a title company and lender in California, I don't know who to contact. My attorney general, my secretary of state.
Well, if it wasn't, it would probably be yours because you're the notary in Washington, I would think, right, Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all in your state, Randy. You performed it. You were the notary. Yeah. Doesn't matter where the documents are going to.
All right. Great scenario. Great conversation starter. So thanks for bringing that. And I can't wait to hear how it unfolds. So definitely keep us abreast of that.
Bill,
oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carol.
yeah, if you don't mind, I just want to bring everybody's attention to the very first post at the very beginning. Laura and I had a situation, or she called and we talked about a situation where a signing service was telling somebody that they could make a copy of military IDs.
Oh, right.
And there is a link up there that will take you to something that you can print out and keep. And if you ever have a signing service or anybody threaten you because you won't make a copy of an ID, military ID, this will cover you. It's very explicit. Okay.
Beautiful.
That's all. I just wanted everybody to know.
I've reposted it too for anybody who's new to the call. The link is in the chat for you.
Oh, good.
All right, Kristen Benbow, I happen to know you're in California. Nice to see you. How can we help today?
Nice to see you. I just had a question about mentally alert on power of attorneys, and I just was hoping for, I don't know, examples or situations where it was kind of on the line, I guess, and how to kind of go about decision making, whether or not to move forward.
Whether or not
if it'll help. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to interrupt, but if it will help, I have a YouTube video that I did a couple of years ago called Legally Capable. So it's free for anybody to see. And it's pretty detailed about things that you should look for when you're handling powers of attorney.
Awesome.
That document.
Yeah, that'll do that. Thank you.
Laura, would you like to just address that for those on the call today?
Well, I look for the opposite of what I think is an issue. So I look for confusion. I look for, are they able to respond appropriately to my questions? I make sure that there's no family directing, hinting, anything, getting in between myself and my signer. And if they are, I ask them to leave the room so that I can have free flowing communication with them. So, you know, I don't quiz them. I just want for them to, you know, do they know themselves? Who are they? Do they know who they are in relationship to other people? Do they know what they got? Right? Do they know those 3 levels? And if they do, and they can speak with me clearly about those things, then I'm entitled at that moment to then move forward if I feel that they have done that. And if they haven't, and I feel concerned about that, and I'm in a facility, I can go to the nurses station, I can ask for social services. If I'm in skilled nursing, I can ask for a patient advocate. So I can also ask for other resources to double check what my suspicions are.
Do you ask them specific questions, like, or what words are you saying to them to validate, you know, do they know who they are?
Well, there are, you know, every case is going to be different, Kristen. You're going to have to figure that out for yourself when you're with that person. I try to connect with that person. And so if I can connect with them, it makes the conversation a little more free flowing and not interrogative, right? Because that's not what I want to have happen. I want them to feel free to communicate with me. So it depends on, am I in a facility or am I in their home? Do they have pets? Do they have family hanging around? They got pictures I can mention. You know, is there a way for me to connect with them and then let them communicate with me? And every case is going to be a little different.
Okay.
Yep, excellent. And Carol, I'm looking for your video you just referenced called Legally Capable, and I cannot find it on YouTube. So maybe if you can follow up with me, I'll be happy to send it out.
Okay.
All right. And for those of you that were on earlier and you heard Matt and Clyde with the Integrity Journal, we are giving away 10 of those thanks to Notary to Pro and Carol. I posted the link for registering for that in the chat. Please do that. And at the end, we will we'll randomly draw numbers and call out those winners. All right, Patricia Wagner, also in California. Thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hi, I had 2 questions. Yesterday, I did a signing. Well, I got a call about a signing where the signature affidavit had a name on it that the man had never been known by. And so what I had been taught is to just draw a line through that and write, I have never been known by this name. And then to go ahead and sign the document. But the title company said that the lender wouldn't accept that because apparently it had come up on his credit report as that name. So they made me go back and have him sign that, saying that he had been known by all those names. So, you know, I did that because that's what they said. But was that right? Or are you supposed to correct them?
Carol, what do you say?
I say you correct them. You put a line through them and write never used or something similar. Because oftentimes these credit reports show names that they've never used, but they're misspelled or they've picked up some other name. I think you did the right thing. It's what I train my graduates.
All right.
The only thing I'd add to that is I don't strike anything. I have them write never known as and then sign their name correctly across from it, because when they have a jurat as the notarial act, now they're going to swear that that information is truthful. And if it's not corrected, then that's not true.
Okay, so don't have them line it out, then just write the name and say, I've never.
A lot of
known
lenders don't like those strikes.
And
Okay.
yeah, that would be the exact other thing too, is they don't like missing signature lines too. So if you've got one of those forms where it has the names listed out on the left and signature lines on the right, they still want signatures there. So.
Okay. This one just had them all together at the top.
Oh, okay.
Then I have one more quick question. When we're supposed to enter the fees for each notarization, you know, it could be because I've only been doing it for a year and a half, but I never get paid what we would if we were charging by the notarization. And I don't want to report on my self-employment tax, the notarization fees. So how do you break out the travel fee, the printing fee, and the notarizations? Because I always get paid less than what we're allowed to charge. You know, with a loan package, sometimes it has 22 notarizations, and there's no way I'm, you know, getting that kind of money. So what would you recommend if now we have to put the fee for each notarization in our book?
Do the math. I start at 15 and I keep putting 15 till I run out of money. And when I run out of money, it goes to 0 for the rest of them.
Well, can I subtract like $25 for the travel fee and $20 for the printing fee?
Well,
Why
remember
would-
your journal's not bookkeeping.
Yeah. You
Your
don't need
journal's
to
not
worry
where you
about
do your
these other-
bookkeeping.
But they won't ever look at it for taxes or anything. So
That's not-
I should just charge $15 for each one and then start writing 0 once I've charged how much they paid me?
That's how I do it. You're not going to
Okay.
find a law anywhere that tells you how to do it. You have to decide. The NNA recommends just putting 0 on all of them. And in the comments, put the total amount you were paid because it's not your bookkeeping. I
Yeah.
happen to choose to want to put as much money as I can into the notarial value because of the self-exemption. I'm taking advantage of that. So
Oh,
that's
I
why
see.
do
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great questions. Thanks for being here.
Uh-huh.
All right. Melissa Dominguez. Hello, Melissa. I know you're in California as well. What's
Wow.
happening today? Melissa, we cannot hear you.
Oh, you can't hear
Oh.
me?
There you go. Now we can.
Sorry. Okay, I have 3 questions. The first one is I ordered 3 stamps in the beginning, you know, the notarial stamps, and the first one already ran out and the second one's on its way. So I was trying to order another one before they ran out, but then they were saying I need a new certificate of authorization, or is there a refill? I don't know what to do.
Depends on what kind of stamp you've purchased. The Trodads have refillable cartridges that go in there. And that's all and they're like $11 and that's all you're buying. And if you have that kind of stamp, the NNA sells those. I don't know where you bought your stamp, but you should not have to have a whole new stamp. That's what is required. Yeah. So there's a little tray. There should be a little tray somewhere in there to replace the ink.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to replace the whole stamp.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just a suggestion on that too, when you put the ink stamps in it, you want to do some practice stamps
Yeah.
before you go into a signing because it gets really.
Gets messy.
And second question.
Second question, the POA, a special POA. I was trying to read it all, but I can't understand it all. But at the end, it says it's granted just for a certain property. So is this just for that property that, because a guy's coming in today and he's gonna come from out of town for his brother. And he said, so he's the one who set it up. So I haven't talked to the brother, but I asked him if he spoke English and understood English and was coherent. And he said, yes. So I got to go right now. So I just wanted some suggestions. This is okay because it's just for that one property. It's not like a durable power attorney, I guess. And just ask him if he knows what he's signing, or what suggestions, the questions to ask him, the brother, the one that's supposed to sign it for the other brother.
Yeah,
So
Laura,
there are hundreds of different kinds of powers of attorney. So there's nothing wrong with one that's limited. That's a limited power of attorney. And they're limiting the power in relation to a particular property. Nothing wrong with that.
So do I
Just like any other.
So do I just, when I talk to the brother, just say, I see you're giving him power of attorney to do business for you at this address or something? Or how do I ask him if he knows what he's signing?
You don't even have to be that specific.
Okay.
Do you understand you're signing a power of attorney? That means you're sharing permission for somebody else to sign for you or make decisions for you related to this property.
Okay.
We're done.
Perfect. Okay, and then a witness signing from WFG, notification comes through saying there's a witness signing, but they're not really telling you what kind of witnesses you need yet. So before I wanted to accept it, I write back notes, but of course they don't get back to you. But nobody's taking it and they're hiring it and it's right around the corner. But and then I couldn't get hold of WFG to call them because I didn't know where to call them.
Yeah. That's just what they call a signing.
Yeah.
It's not that it has to have special witnesses.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
really
that's why
complicates
nobody
things.
took it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you for that. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I know that's just another complicating factor.
Oh
Sometimes
my
these companies come up with their own titles for those, but that's how that works.
Okay, all
All
right.
right. Thanks, Melissa. Good luck on your appointments. All right. How we doing on time? Good. Remember, guys, we are giving away 10 integrity journals thanks to Notary to Pro and Carol Ray at the end of today's call. So if you haven't yet, just register for those and I'll type that into the chat again. Erica Montez, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, everyone. I'm here in California. And my question is, when you do the signings, so it's not general work, but signings, there's obviously several signatures that you need to take or acknowledge or whatever it is. On your journal, do you write down every single one of them? Or do you just put in like, just let's say there's two signers, so you do like signing for this company and then they sign once and then the next person signs again and that's it? Or do you spell out every single one in every single line for every notarization?
Yeah, Laura, do you want to give just a real concise answer on this? Because we talked about it at the beginning of this call and we talk about it often. And I'm going to post the link to the journal training that gets even deeper on this for you, Erica. So
Thank you. I'm sorry. I did came in a little late.
Yeah, no worries.
Into the call. I was taking another.
Okay, so
Erica,
you are responsible, first of all, for notary journaling, only the documents that are notarized. So you might have 150 pages, which might relate to 100 different documents. And out of 100 documents, you might only have 8 to 10 that are notarized. Those are the only ones we're concerned with in the journal. Then within the journal, you are responsible to gather the 7 elements for the notarization. Now, what we talked about this morning is that rather than doing separate line entries, you may be able to accommodate it in one if you have the right kind of journal that allows you to identify, all the different kinds of documents, as well as what kind of notarial act, they're not all the same, as well as the fee. So you can see if you don't have the right kind of journal, that will be difficult to do because it won't be legible and you're probably not going to include everything. So until you have a journal like that, I recommend that you do one line entry per signer for each document so that you do pull all of the information you're accountable to pull.
All right, I see. See, that's what I've been doing. So I've been doing a line for one. It happened that I was on the other side of the table this time, and the notary that came to notarize my loan documents, they just did the one and just put on like, loan documents, and it was just the one line.
Erica, that's not acceptable to have one line that just says loan docs.
Right. So that's why I was kind of concerned. I was like, have I been doing it wrong? I didn't question him. That was his job. But, on my side, I was like, now, am I doing it wrong? Am I using too much of my journal? Or, how is it really supposed to be?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you know.
Sounds like you're doing it right.
Thank you.
No problem. And I posted the link to Laura's journal training in the chat window for you as well. And let's see. Thank you, Erica. Darlene Robinson, thanks so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help. Darlene Robinson.
Hi, my name
Hi.
is, yes, sir. My name is Darlene Robinson in Texas. And the question I had is, being able, is that legal to be able to change a loan document and free typing it with Adobe? Like, you know, putting in
The
your
notarial
name
language?
before you go and yeah, just any changes, like for instance, like to shorten the time of filling in the blanks, like putting in their name, typing their name in the spot, putting your name, but not signing, but just typing like the date and stuff like that. Should we be doing that at all?
Laura, what do you think?
Oh, I was going to ask Carol, what do you think?
Carol, what do you think?
I used to do it all the time with professional. It saves a lot of time, and as long as you're just printing in the dates and printing names on your certificates and that kind of thing. We all know you cannot sign or stamp your certificates unless you're in front of the people that you're witnessing. But yeah, I used to do it all the time. It saved so much time.
And just to clarify though, when you say like you have to make sure it's just the notarial certificate. You can't do anything else. And there are some lenders, trying to think, I have no concept of time. It was either yesterday or 2 years ago, but somebody had a lender who had an issue with them modifying the notarial certificates as well. I don't know, and maybe people are just faster on the computer than I am, and they can do it faster, but it just doesn't seem like it would save me any time, so I don't prioritize it. I mean, it's seconds at the table,
Right.
so I have not prioritized that. Anyone else feedback on that?
Now, I know that notaries do that, although not so much with Adobe by hand. You know, they just fill it out by hand, which is perfectly acceptable. You're still putting in the time, right? Whether you move it up front or you do it at the table, you're still spending the time one way or another. So you're not really saving time, you're just moving the time.
Yeah.
So you want to get more efficient at what you do so that the total time is less.
Great question.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah. Hey, Judy.
Excuse me. Hey, I can't find my hand to raise. But anyway, I have a quick question on an ID, please. I have a signing for tomorrow. I always, call my clients the day before to, verify that they have a current photo ID and ask them what it says, how it's listed. And then I compare that when I get my documents to make sure I don't have any issues with the ID. Well, she told me that her ID had her first name, her middle initial, and her last name. Well, when I got the documents, it had first name, middle initial, and last name. I thought, okay, everything's fine. But I had forgotten to ask if she could make copies of the ID. So I called her back and asked her, I said, do you have the capability of making a copy? And she says, no, I don't. Of course, I've got to scan the documents in. So I said, well, I'll just bring my scanner and do it all at the same time. Well, we got to talking a little more in depth about her ID. And she said that her driver's license, originally from Alabama, put her maiden name instead of her middle initial. She says, but I signed it with the middle initial. So it's listed on the ID as her first name, her maiden name, her last name, but her, apparently, I haven't seen it yet. She says her signature says first name, middle initial, last name. And I said, I think that's probably going to be an ID issue. I said, let me get, with my signing service that hired me. Well, and then I asked, do you have a passport? Oh, I do. And I said, okay, well, good. What does it say? And it had the, first name, middle initial and last name, but it's been expired for years. So, I've called the signing company and they're contacting title to see what they want to do about it. But what would y'all do?
So you're in Tennessee. Laura,
Right.
any suggestions for Judy?
The first thing is I would verify, what does Tennessee require for ID and how much leeway do you have? Because you've got a photo ID, the passport that has what you want with her face on it. You've got the driver's license that has her face on it and there's name variation to it. And so if you have enough, and I'd have to look up Tennessee identification rules to be able to specifically say, yes, it's okay, or no, it's not. But if you have a lot of leeway, you might be able to use supplementary evidence to support that she owns both names and that you could handle the signing.
Okay, well, this is a trust. She's signing as a trustee.
Well, regardless,
No,
she would be
okay.
signing how it is on the
Okay.
document. But what I'm saying is you're trying to prove she's that person. And you might be able to use other picture ID that proves she's the person she's signing on the document. But again, off the top of my head, I don't know Tennessee identification rules. I'd have to look those up and see. Some states, many just say satisfactory evidence, and they don't specify a name match. As a matter of fact, very few, if any, even say that.
Right.
So that gives the notary the opportunity to work with supplementary evidence that would support she's the same person, because that's what you're trying to do. And of course, one of the things is that is how she signed her ID. So I would be looking at how many ways can I see that that's her. And I love that the passport has her photo on it, right? Things that have her photo on it that put her together with the name is like the best support. And then I would document that and it's your discretion. If you decide, okay, I'm going to go forward with this, then you would document in your journal, what else did you look at that made you confident she's the same person?
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, Judy. Guys, at 6 o'clock Eastern time today, I'm going to be hanging out with Eileen and Judy O'Higgins talking about how send out cards changed my business. So if you'd like to attend that for free, it's a completely free webinar today, 3 p.m. Pacific. It is 6 p.m. Eastern later on today. I put the registration link in the chat for you. Lisa Allen, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Oh, hi.
What state are you in?
I'm in Michigan.
All right. How can we help?
So I was on here last week and I can't remember my question I had, but of course, I got some more stuff that came up since last week. The gentleman was talking about the title companies and how they treat you. And I have been treated badly a few more times than I like to, talk about, because I had to cancel a signing because for one reason or another, either the borrower didn't have the proper identification, they didn't speak English, or something was not correct. Or so this yesterday, the gentleman did not speak English, and I've had one of those before where he didn't speak English. And when I called him to verify and confirm the appointment, he, it sounded like he was speaking English. And then he said, hold on. And I said, okay. And so he comes back with a translator on the phone. And I was like, and I'm trying to understand what's going on, because I'm really not sure what's going on. She's not really telling me she's a translator. And then, so by the time we finished the appointment and I'm asking questions, I'm thinking it's two signers. And I'm asking questions, is both signers going to be there? And so she's answering all the questions. And then she says, it's just him. And I said, okay. And then I asked her, I said, can he speak English? She said, oh yeah. I said, okay. So I tell her, I said, well, he has to speak English. She said, I'm translating. I said, well, he has to be able to speak to me directly. I cannot, a translator is not allowed. So she said, no, he can speak English. I just, help him out a little bit. I said, okay, no problem. I understand that. I said, when I get there, I'll make that decision how well of English he's speaking. So when I get there, he's there. When a man comes to the door, I'm thinking it's him. It's not him. And I'm looking for the woman. And I was like, oh, he speaks great English. So, but it's not him. It's the woman that was on the phone, her husband. So I'm looking for the other guy and he's not there. And it's, several other people in the house. Then finally he comes to me and he comes in the room and I'm like, are you Muhammad? And he's like, yeah. And sorry, I didn't mean to say name. And then he says, yes. And so then I said, I need your ID. And then they sit us down and then everyone is sitting in the living room and I'm trying to like, okay, and I start talking to him. And then every time I talk to him, he looks at them and they translate for him. And I remind her, I said, well, I explained to you that he has to be able to directly talk to me. And so it gets really ugly because, I'm trying to tell her, speak to him. And I start asking him other questions. And I explained to her, I'm trying to decide how well of English he speaks before I start signing. So, so I'm asking him questions and he's not, and then I asked him about his wife because as I'm going through the documents, I see there's a deed of trust. And I started asking him about his wife and he's like, yeah, I said, are you married? Because she told me it was just him. So now I'm thinking, where's your wife? And so he's like, my wife is dead. He said, I said, are you married? He says, yes. I said, okay. I said, where's your wife? He said, oh, she's dead. And then I said, oh, okay, I'm sorry, no problem. I said, okay. So I said, they didn't ask for a death certificate. Did you already provide the death certificate? I'm just talking. And so he's like, yeah, hold on. And so he started calling somebody and getting on the phone. And then he went in the other room and came back and never came back with a death certificate. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on, what he's doing. And then, so he calls Title and then Title starts talking to me and, she's upset because she wants to know why I'm asking all these questions. And I said, I'm trying to decide how well English he speaks because he hasn't been able to talk to me directly. And so I'm starting to believe that I need to cancel this signing. And I asked him about his wife and the death certificate. And she's like, what do you need that for? And I said, well, I'm just really trying to make small talk to see how well English he speaks. But he never produced a death certificate. And so I don't know if he understood what I was saying. So she's like, well, he doesn't need that. And you just go ahead and start signing. You don't have to explain anything to him. All you need to do is just point and sign and he'll sign. And I said, I understand that. I said, but if he can't communicate with me, I can't do this signing. Well, what's the problem? Like, she made it look like that it's a problem. So I was like, well, you understand that he needs to be able to speak English to me. And she said, well, and then she was like, well, and then after that, I was like, so he told me that his wife was dead. And she said, his wife is not dead, she's alive. And I said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this because now he can't speak English. And now there's a conflict with the wife being alive or dead. And I can't have him sign a deed of trust. I don't know anything about a deed of trust. If he's married and his wife is alive, shouldn't she be on that deed of trust? I don't know. But it was just too much confusion.
Lisa, okay. So what happened in the end, Lisa? Get to the end.
So in the end, the woman on the phone, she jumped up in my face and said, what do you think is coming on? She was just really aggressive and ready to fight me. So I said, well, as I was talking to the title lady on the phone, I said, well, and I said, I need to leave. So I got up, grabbed my things, and I just left because it was getting too heated. So, and so I want to know. And then the title lady was like, well, you're not getting paid. And she started treating me bad. And then the signing agency that I was working with, they called me. I was trying to call them, but I sent them messages. They never answered me. And I was trying to talk to them and they never answered me. So, Lisa,
okay. So totally understand this complicated situation. What would you like to know? What's your question?
How, like I was saying to the young man earlier, where do you report the signing agencies? Because I felt really, really bad yesterday. I was really upset.
Yeah.
And I was treated horribly. And it's not called for. If it's wrong, if we're not supposed to be signing notarizing documents for people who cannot speak English, and then they try to make me look like I was prejudiced or something.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is an unfortunate situation. This is not the norm. But again, this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. If you're working with a company that forces you to do illegal things, dump them. And if you feel compelled to complain or to post it or to make something happen, there's a place called notaryreviews.org where you can rate and review these signing companies or hiring companies so other notaries don't fall into that trap. That would be my best suggestion there for you. But Lisa, here's the thing, like, you stood in integrity. You know what you're doing. You know what's real and what's not. Not everybody's going to appreciate that. And if they don't appreciate that you have integrity and that you know what you can do and you can't do, you need to separate working with them. Don't let it get to you because you did the right thing. They just don't have integrity. They just want you to sign and go. And that's not the kind of notary you are. You're not the right notary for that situation. Carol, do you have any other suggestions for Lisa?
Oh, just what you said. Exactly what I would have said.
Perfect.
Same thing.
Laura, anything else from you?
And just also just you guys know when somebody's trying to coerce us like that, and you're in California particularly, Matt posted and he's right. It's a misdemeanor offense for the signing company or the lender, anybody trying to get a notary to break the law. That goes on to them.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
All right, guys, we're just after the 1 hour. So sorry we didn't get to some of those other questions. You know, you can reach out to us in between though if there's anything we can do for you. But right now we're going to give away 10 of the integrity journals thanks to Carol Ray at Notary 2 Pro. I'm going to go ahead and do a random number generator here.
And if your name is called, please email us your name and address to notary2pro@gmail.com.
All right, let's see how many people we had submit for this. I'm going to stop recording right now. So on the replay, you won't have to worry about this.